Uluru, also known as Ayers Rock, is a sandstone moonlith known as one of Australia's most iconic landmarks. Uluru stands at 863 metres of elevation and is located in the heart of the desert in the Northern Territory of Australia. The Anangu Indigenous tribe have always existed at Uluru as their ancestral beings created the Central Australian landscape at the beginning of the Australian culture. The struggle on Uluru started to occur in the late 1930s when visitors began to climb the rock, with the Anangu people having no say in this process, as the Australian government was leasing this land from them, and ended up doing so for 99 years. When this started to happen, the Anangu people found it very disrespectful to their Aboriginal people and culture, as they are the direct descendants of the Anangu tribe and are responsible for the protection and management of the ancestral lands. Aboriginal people have lived in the area for at least 30,000 years, and Uluru's origins in formation go back half a billion years. For decades, the Anangu people asked tourists just to walk around the bottom of the monumental site, but no one seemed to listen. The main key actor involved was a man named Sammy Wilson, who was a traditional custodian of the land and who led the fight against the closure of the climb. For the climb to be closed, the Uluru National Park Board would need a unanimous decision in which Sammy Wilson took to a larger group of Anangu people to get their perspective and thoughts, and also to honour them. Wilson was the chair of the board, always advocating and spreading the message of the Anangu people far and wide to anyone who visited Uluru to spread awareness about the issue. On October 26, 2019, the climb of Uluru was finally shut. Although tourists knew the climb was shutting, this didn't stop hundreds of people lining up before 4 to get the last climb in. Just more selfishness and lack of respect towards the Anangu people and their culture. The Anangu people were still receiving flack over the closing of the climb, but Sammy Wilson soon reminded everyone that it isn't their law that lies within the land of Uluru. Wilson said, "It is an extremely important place, not a playground or a theme park like Disneyland. We want you to come, hear us and learn. We've been thinking about this for a very long time." Aboriginals are the traditional custodians of Australian land, and ever since European settlement, these people have been exploited and treated poorly due to their race. Aboriginals have been exploited through the stolen generation, racial slurs, and stereotypes of drunken and homeless that often coincided with their culture. It really is no surprise that people had a lack of respect for Uluru, as in Australia, the Aboriginal culture is quite commercialised. The interesting depth of culture loved and shared by Aboriginals is often put aside for the purpose of mass tourism and economic gain. Indigenous tourism strategy surveys done in Australia have shown that tourists wanted to have this experience within 2 hours of a city for a half or full day, and it should involve a tour guide that spoke the traveller's own language. So they wanted to view the culture from their own point of view rather than how the culture itself actually functions. There is a large gap between non-Indigenous Australians and Indigenous Australians in terms of shorter life expectancy, higher rates of infant mortality, poorer health, and lower levels of education and employment. The government believes that this illicit alcohol and drug use has a deeper underlying cause of intergenerational trauma, resulting from the ongoing and cumulative effects of colonisation, loss of land, language and culture, the erosion of cultural and spiritual identity, forced removal of children, and racism and discrimination. When pushing for the climb to be closed, Sammy Wilson made sure that a large group of the Anangu tribe and elders were interviewed so that the final decision was guided by the Anangu people to show that it really is their law of the land. A new tourism strategy was also brought in to focus more on educating tourists about the cultural significance of the site, which precludes climbing but still involves storytelling and appreciation of the site on the ground. The board of the Uluru National Park also asked the question of whose environment really matters. Is it just rich white folk, or does it include Indigenous culture and heritage too? This question was answered when the climb was finally closed. The issue of the climb could have been addressed better by the general public by giving more recognition to the Anangu people and their struggles. The lack of recognition given to the Anangu peoples resulted in them not having environmental legitimacy in the public's eyes, allowing this denial of the closure deemed to seem okay. In Romania, where people were kicked out of their homes for a Black Sea holiday resort, the tactic used was to take the case to the European Court of Human Rights, in which I believe the Anangu people could have done the same, taking it to the Australian government to get the climb closed quicker and peace restored on their land.